Hi everyone, in this video I will attempt to demonstrate how to paint a little blue bird with feathers, and in the process of doing that you will learn some wonderful painting techniques, in fact the sequence of painting directly into Photoshop. So let's begin. All right, so I'm going to create a new canvas, and as always I'm just going to choose A5. So I'm going to go to print, and where are you? There you are, A5. And we might make it A5 wide. Now you can see the settings are there. And then over here where it says background color, I'm going to click on that little white square and I'll choose a light gray because I prefer a light gray background. And then click on create. And there's my A5 canvas, which has a gray background. All right, so let me just close a few windows. Now, the first thing I want to do is I want to create a new layer. And this is going to be called bird body. And as you can probably guess, this is the layer which will have the body of a bird. So I click on the brush tool, and up here, I'm going to choose the hard round brush. Actually, no, let's live it up. Let's live it up. Let's close the general brushes. Let's go to my favorite brush. You may remember it's called Pastel Palooza. It's got a nice grain to it. I'm going to leave it on 100% opacity. And let's bring up our colors. So under window, color, and I'll just plonk this over here. Beautiful. All right, so we want a blue color because after all, this is a blue bird tutorial. All right, so now forgive my rough painting technique, but I'm just going to make my brush a bit bigger. And on this new layer, I shall now paint the head and the body of a bird. That wasn't hard, was it? There you go. Now, I'll change the color to black because what I want to do now is I want to choose, I'll just make this window a little bit smaller because it's quite big. Just bear with me for a minute. I don't need the color window to be that big, so I'm just going to make it smaller. And I'll just plonk it over here for now. Beautiful. So yeah, you can actually move these windows up and down as you can see. But yeah, I can go from layers to brushes to color, all in the one tab. All right, so I'm going to choose black, back to layers, and I'll make the brush a bit smaller. And I'll just stick with the same brush, and here comes the black beak. And while I'm at it, let's put an eye there. There you go. And some lovely little legs. Now, I can make the brush smaller by using the square bracket keys on my keyboard. So let's just try that again. Another leg and square brackets. And you can see by moving the square bracket keys, I can make the brush smaller. And there is my lovely bluebird. And if I want to move it around, I click on the move tool and I can move it anywhere I want. So this is where the fun starts, creating a feather. So I'm just going to plonk the bird there for a minute, create a new layer, and I'll call this feather 1. Feather number 1. Great. And let's go back to color and let's choose a bright orange. And we'll stay with the same brush. Let's click on that. 100% opacity. And let's paint our feather. Now I'll use the square bracket keys again to make the brush a bit bigger. And here comes my first feather. Beautiful. Okay, looks like a chicken leg at the moment, but yeah, just go with me on this one. All right, now back on layers. If I lock that layer with this little icon, now I don't know if you can see it, it's actually called Lock Transparent Pixels. So I'm going to click on that and you see the padlock goes on. And that means that if I switch colors now, if I go and choose a green, for instance, yep, that'll do. And I'll bring the opacity of the brush down right down to about 15. I'll make the brush bigger with the square bracket keys. Watch what happens. It doesn't go outside the edge. So that lock transparent pixel is great for adding just thin washes of color. You know, I can switch to that color there, and you can see it doesn't go beyond the edge. And you can create some interesting effects. Now, of course, the Pastel Palooza brush, it has to be said, isn't great for blending. It creates just, you know, lovely texture. But you can actually see the brush strokes, which I don't really mind. All right, so imagine that's your first feather. I can unlock that now and go to the Move tool, and I can position it where I want. In fact, let me move the bluebird back into the center, and I can position the feather right over the body. Now, if I don't like the colors, if I think, oh, it's not so bright, no problem. I can press Control U on the keyboard. So let's just do that. And Command U on a Mac. And I can beef up the saturation. See that? Really beef it up. Or I can change the colors. So it's pretty cool. It's pretty cool what you can do with just this effect, this window. So let's just say you like that. Control L, by the way, brings up levels, and that really gives you some options here. So you can really have a lot of fun playing around with levels and hue and saturation after you've painted something. Now, the other thing that you might remember is the transform function. Now, of course, it lives under Edit. There it is there. But the keyboard shortcut is Command or Control T, Control on a PC, Command on a Mac. And of course, this box comes up, which means that I can distort it. I can rotate it. I can resize it, of course. And I can move it. If, however, I really want to warp it, I can right-click right in the middle, and I can choose Warp. And that means I can really push and pull that wing to create whatever shape I want. So again, after the fact, I can modify a shape with the transform function. All right, so when you're happy with the transform, you press Enter or Return on your keyboard, and there's your first wing. Beautiful. Now, the great thing about Photoshop is that I can basically paint a brand new wing, yes, from the start. You know, I can create a new layer and do the whole thing and create a second wing, or watch this. I can go to that pop-up menu and choose Duplicate Layer. Now, the keyboard shortcut, by the way, is Control J. So if I press or Command J on a Mac, if I press Control J, I get a second layer for free. It's the same as the first layer, it's a duplicate. And then of course I can go Control T, resize it, I can rotate it, and I can even warp it. And by that I mean I can make it look different to the first wing. You know, I could spend half a day modifying the second wing, the duplicate, and I can even go Control U, which you may remember is hue and saturation, and I can change the colors. Brilliant. And it means that I can put that second wing above the first wing, and it looks as if I have spent all day creating these wings, and in actual fact, it didn't take long at all. Now, the layer stack is important because if I want that second wing, this one here, to be underneath the first wing, I just have to drag it until it sits there, and then it's underneath. See that? And I can do the same. I can create a third wing. Again, Control J. Here's my other wing. Control T for transform. Okay, and I can do lots of different things with this one. Let's just accept that one. Press Enter or Return. Control U. And with this one, I can bring down this. Now let's bring the saturation up. Let's just modify the colors again. Yeah, let's make it darker. And there's my third wing. Okay, so that's not that hard. And that's really the secret to creating a blue bird painting. Now, just to finish off, I'm going to show you how to move the whole bird as one, because even though I'm on the move tool, it only moves the selected layer. So what happens if you want to move the whole bird? Well, as you probably guessed, you select all the layers and you hold down the shift or the control key, and that lets you select all the layers. And now, because all the layers are selected, I can move the whole bird. Now, another little tip is if you have lots of layers and it's getting confusing, you can actually group the layers. You can put them into little folders, like a group. And I'll just show you how you do that. Over in this pop-up menu area, you'll see something that says New Group from Layers. So the first thing you do, guys, is select all the layers that you want in the group. And then you click on the pop-up, choose New Group, give it a name. Let's call it Bird 1. And when you click OK, everything is nice and neat inside a folder. And that's great because what you can do is you can move the folder, the whole lot. You can go Control T on the whole lot. See how it's selected the whole folder, and it modifies the whole bird. You know, if you want to rotate it, perfect. Now, what some people do is they create a group of layers like that. Then they duplicate the group. So they go Control J, and you end up with a second folder, and you've got a second bird. And what you might want to do with that second bird, if I just Control T, I could right click and I could simply flip it. And of course, I can resize it, I can warp it, I can do whatever I want. And I've got two little birds on my canvas, didn't take long at all. So have some fun with the Bluebird tutorial. I hope that makes sense to you, and I'll see you soon. Okay, all the best. Bye-bye.